Well, hello YouTube, this is Layout123 and today we're going to be doing a completely different video. Nothing train related here. We're going to be talking about Robot Wars. It was the 20-year anniversary of when the show first started, and I thought the best way to sort of celebrate it was to be showing you guys some of the designs that I'd created when I was a kid throughout the years. It's a video that has been requested by a couple of people on YouTube, so without any further ado, let's get straight into it. And before I do start, I'm just going to say these are all my cardboard designs. These aren't actually some of the Lego ones I've made and that kind of thing. So we're just going to focus on the cardboard ones I've made so far. These are all my own ideas as well. Some ideas have been taken from competitors from the show and that kind of thing. But mainly, all of them are just based on what I've thought of. So let's get started. So this is Heavy Tears. It's pretty much just a swinging axe robot. Kind of after Arnold A with the swinging axe weapon. It's got a little LED which changes colour on the top. And the idea was it was just sort of meant to spike robots and then push them towards the pit. It could self-right as well. Yeah, that's pretty much Heavy Tears. This is Venom, probably one of the oldest machines I've ever made, Venom. It used to have Unstoppable written across the top of it, but that's kind of worn off over time. Some of the tapes coming off as well. It's got the front lifting forks, which were sort of just meant to be electronically powered, a bit like Panic Attack. And then if I turn it upside down, obviously it was invertible as well. It's got a lot of pushing power. It's sort of based the idea of the chassis kind of skid steer after Tornado, but you can tell it's been pretty much wrecked over the years. The whole back is sort of falling out of it as well. It's seen quite a few battles. This is Falcon, bit of a different one. Thought I'd do it flying in, seeing as it's a bird theme. It's got two wings on the side to sort of stop it from being flipped over. It can't actually self-right, but it had a swinging axe weapon, which also activated a rear flipping weapon to try and turn machines over as the weapon comes down. Not very successful in my own little made-up series, but that's Falcon pretty much. Sort of, if you look at it, it does kind of look a little bit like Robo Chicken, I suppose you could say, but that's Falcon. This is Horrid Harold. It's sort of just a wedge flipper pretty much. It did have a flipper limiter, but one of the robots I'm going to show you a little bit later on ripped that out of it. It's used to have also some side sort of bars on it to stop it from getting stuck on its side, because obviously if it's on its side it can't self-right. Sort of, this is the second variation of Horrid Harold. The first one that I did was a lot weaker than this, but for the second one I sort of put some blood marks down it, sort of a sign of battle. But yeah, that's pretty much Horrid Harold. Nice try. I wrote that on the back as well. The idea of when they try and come around the back of it and flip it over, it could spin round quite quick. Yeah, sort of based on Iron Ore really from the live events, and the differences in my series, the flipper actually worked. No offence to the Iron Ore guys. Spite, which had a swinging axe weapon, sort of based after Blue from King of Bots, even though I made this before that. Most people will probably say it looks like that. Just a box on wheels really with a simple axe weapon. Sort of, I always used to fire it a bit like Mortis, the way that it just sort of smashed back and forth. Not really much on the underside, just a couple of wheels. I had the front plough as well to stop flippers from getting in underneath too easily. But yeah, that's Frostbite. This is Spirit of Freak, which is actually the third generation of a robot that I made originally. The first variation I made was just called Mr. Blade, which did have a big blade weapon on the top which would spin round, but then Mr. Blade got pretty beaten up, so I made Mr. Blade 2, which was the same sort of thing, but that got absolutely destroyed in a battle a few series ago I did. And now there's really not much left of this one. This was MB3. It was a long thing to keep calling it Mr. Blade 3, which then it became MB Freak because it was so beaten up that I just kept patching it up. And it had a vertical spinner on the top there, just a bar. But there's pretty much nothing left of that. It did have a front wedge on the front to get in underneath, sort of a feeder wedge up into the weapon. And the whole back panel's just totally destroyed. But then that's led on to this, MB Freak, which is the most recent version of it. Out the back, we've got where the battery sits, and then if I just show you the weapon fired up, Oh, come on. There we are, there's the old Death Hunt. And it is pretty deadly, this one. I also made it as well so it's got interchangeable bars, so there's a slightly longer one for different battles and different attacks. But yeah, that's pretty much MB Freak's latest variation, which is very, very nice. Spirit of Freak, based after Spirit of Nightmare, really, in terms of the name. This is Newcomer, which is just a simple wedge flipper, really, nothing too special about that. But it is nice, I suppose. And then this is Ejector Seat, which was based after Push to Exit, really. After I saw their team with the front hinged flipper, I like the idea of building a robot called Ejector Seat. The idea being that the robots go on top of them and then it runs to the arena sidewall and tosses them out. Bit of a different idea with that one, really. These are the Terrible Twins, a cluster bot based pretty much after Gemini. Two simple flipping wedges, which could self-ride as well. Pretty basic design, but I quite liked playing with them when I was a kid, because when you got a spinner in with them, they just toss them around the arena quite easily. Green Devil, which is sort of pretty much quite small, but the idea was it was made out of compact armour, which had a little flipper on the front. Couldn't self-right, but the idea was that if it got flipped over, it'd just sort of fall back onto its wheels, unless it was turned completely turtle. Had a horrible devilish sort of face on the underside as well. The Green Devil, when I was making it, did turn out a bit smaller than I was hoping for, but in the end I just had to run with it, really. So this is Substitute, which was sort of based after Bronco from BattleBots, having the flipper sort of that flies up like that. Oh, I didn't manage to get in underneath Kapow there. Could self-right quite nicely as well. It was a pretty basic sort of flipper design, but I quite liked it. This is Kapow. This is a very, very different design. It was sort of based after Storm 2, the way you could get in underneath and just slam machines up and over and into the arena sidewall. I also put a couple of lights in the top of it as well, so the idea was that it was kind of like Roadblock in Series 2 when they went for the police siren thing, that it was running into you. But yeah, it's a pretty good machine. It's got these little panels on the back which help it to self-right back onto its wheels. And now we're going to move on to the best machine I think I've ever made. So this is D3, which is a bar spinner, or D3-2 as I should say. Now D3 started life out as D3-1, which was the same principle, had the bar on top and a self-righting arm, but that got so beaten up over the years that I then replaced it with D3-2, which had another self-righting panel on the back. I also put some Panic Attack skirts sort of around the side of it to protect it from flippers, but they got crumpled up, so I took them off after one of the series. And then quite often with these D3 machines, it's actually where the blade sits and the motor gets bashed so much that it just erodes over time and sort of bends in. So that's why we've moved on to a completely different design, which is D3-2. Now D3-2 is different from the others. It's sort of a different shape, and it doesn't have a Shremek, but it's got much more power than the other two. The motor, I'm running a lot faster batteries through it now. So it's quite deadly actually. When it actually hits a bit of Lego, it just rips it to bits, which is quite good. I will do a proper weapon test if people want me to do it. It's up to you guys. D3 also had some different weapon bars which are interchangeable as well. Hope you enjoyed that video, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon. If you enjoyed it, can you just tell me which one was your favourite? And if you're interested, I can do a few more videos about Robot Wars and some of the machines I've created down the years. It's up to you guys. At the end of the day, it's just a bit of fun, really. Yeah, so that's pretty much it, really, guys. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon. Bye-bye.